Have you ever wondered what it would be like to work at a luxury watch shop? Well, for one day, I got to live out my dreams selling vintage watches at my local shop. I'm Keanu Carey. Welcome to my channel where I love to document my life. In this video, I want to answer the questions, what is happening to my channel and what is it like working at a vintage watch shop? They both kind of go together in the same story, so here we go. The story starts when my friend Ryan had to go to an important unspecified something and asked me and one of his other friends to take over his shift. Ryan is a big nerd and the only dedicated salesman at cool vintage watches. When I was 16, I came into the shop asking about Rolexes, and Ryan taught me that watches are more than just about Rolex. Ryan and I became friends, and he even recently let me borrow a Seiko from the watch, and I made a video about that up here. I wasn't paid to make it, nor will I profit from it when it sells, but it was the first time a dealer had let me borrow a watch to make a video about. Ryan has let me borrow other watches, and I hope to borrow more in the future. You're probably wondering what that means for you, and hopefully it means more free, unsponsored watch content. And you should definitely subscribe if that's your kind of jam. Don't worry, I'll be completely honest and forward about how I feel about the watches. I mean, this channel is first and foremost about documenting my life, and so I will always be transparent about that. Alright, back to the story. The start of my shift was busy. They sell other things there other than just watches, and so I sold a typewriter and some coasters. For this shift, I made $15 an hour and no commission, but I still really enjoyed it. I saw a lot of the regular customers, and a bunch of cool people had a bunch of cool watches on. It was just overall a really cool experience. I noticed a younger guy, probably 16 to 18 years old, eyeing the watches in the case. It started to become less busy, so I did my usual sales thing. How are you? Can I show you anything? And at first he seemed pretty reserved. He answered really quietly and didn't really make eye contact with me, but I could tell he was really intrigued by the watches in the showcase. I noticed that he was wearing a cool watch, so of course I had to ask about it. It was a cool manual wind Vostok Amphibia with a cushion case, and it was really cool, so of course I had to compliment it. And he slowly began to open up, and so I thought maybe I would show him some of the watches I was into. I had recently been enjoying the Seiko Navigator Timer and the Hamilton Pilot Pioneer, which are both cushion case watches that we had at the shop, so I showed him both of those and he thought they were pretty cool too. He was really honest with me and told me he didn't have much of a budget, but he was really interested in the watches. I had this weird introspective flashback moment from when I was 16 and I first stepped in the store. I remember asking the guy at the counter to see every watch in the case when he and I both knew I couldn't afford any of them. But Ryan still took the time to show me each and every one of them, and he's helped me learn so much more about watches that now I'm making videos online trying to help other people learn about watches. To this day, we are still really good friends, and I help him at the same shop 3 years later. I felt this weird need to live up to Ryan even though he knows way more than I do. So I'm standing there looking at the kid. It wasn't busy anymore, so I tell him something along the lines of, I know you're not going to buy anything today, but I remember being in your same situation. I really appreciated the guy who let me see every watch, so tell me which ones you like and please let me show them to you. Even though I was the role of a salesman behind the counter, I'm really just some guy who likes talking about watches. I saw him smile and open up even more, and from there we just looked at a bunch of cool watches together. We checked out some vintage chronographs, some modern Zodiac, and all sorts of dive watches. It really was amazing to share this moment with someone my age. This is traditionally a hobby for older gentlemen, and so to share it with someone younger than me was just pretty cool. That reminds me of when my brother still lived with me. He also liked watches, and I would let him borrow my Omega and my other watches to wear to school. I let him borrow my Omega Railmaster in 6th grade, and he came back and he was like, I don't want to wear this anymore. And I was like, why? And he said that all the kids looked up the brand of the watch he was wearing and were kind of hassling him from wearing a $2,000 watch in school, which I thought that was funny, but he didn't. Yeah. Anyways, back to the story. As we continued to look at many of the watches in the cases, his mom and his brother left the store to go look at other stores. He ended up staying for at least an hour, and we just continued to talk, and he even had some decent insight about watches. He even shared that he had been mowing lawns and saved up $500 so far. It's funny because I did the exact same thing when I was 16. I mowed lawns, and I ended up buying my very first luxury watch from that same store. Actually, even more funny, it actually ended up being a Rolex, but since then I've kind of broadened my taste. So eventually we found the perfect watch for him. It was the right size at 36 millimeters. It was screw down crown with 100 meters of water resistance. It was in his $500 price range, and it was like a timeless design. If you're curious what watch it was the Smith's Everest, which is a really cool watch. I think it's awesome. My friend Ryan doesn't like it because he thinks it's an homage and he's just not into that, but I think it's a cool watch. Unfortunately, he didn't get it, but I really do think it would have suited him well. I'm proud of myself because I think I gave him the best experience, and I can only hope he comes back one day. Overall, working at a vintage watch shop was a super gratifying experience. I sold some cool things, and I talked to some really cool people, and of course I tried on so many watches. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I would totally do it again. But yeah, that's the story for today. Hopefully, moving on, we can get more back into watches. I've been so busy. I got a new job, and I also got my real estate license. I studied my ass off for that, but I got it on my first try. So yeah, hats off to me there. If you appreciated this video, I would really appreciate any love. It's a super niche topic, so any like, subscribe, comment, anything you can do would be great. Please share your favorite watch story in the comment. Ask someone if they have a favorite watch story, and that's how you can tell if they're a watch person or not, because all of us have these like funny watch stories that we love to talk about. I hope you have a great day, and just remember to share the hobby.